Personally tailored ads saved my life yesterday. To understand what happened to me in the past 24-ish hours, a little backstory is needed. This is a long one, so bear with me. I never understood the distaste for AI filtered ads. You know, like the ones you can toggle on or off when browsing. That use those dang cookies they're always asking about. I love them. I love the concept that I don't have to waste time seeing constant ads that have no value whatsoever to me, and instead seeing relevant information from the paid content that floats around my feed during my doom scrolling. I've actually made a lot of purchases for things I needed with an added bonus that frequently comes with buying directly from an ad. Click to receive an extra 25% off on product now. An exclusive discount applied only to this ad type of thing. So call me crazy, but I welcome the age of AI monitored tailoring of the vast sea of internet content into bite-sized pieces that are flavored just for me. And with what just occurred yesterday, that mindset has been forever solidified. It started after I'd come home from the grocery store. After hauling in several weeks' worth of groceries, I placed my cell phone on the countertop and opened up the clock app for background noise while I put everything away. My husband got me this cool little device that allows me to scroll the next video without needing to use my phone to do so. It's a nifty little ring that has buttons to scroll up or down the screen, and it's actually really useful. Anyways, got a little off topic there. But my brain is still a bit of a fuzzy mess, so forgive me if there's a random tangent or two. Okay, so, yeah. Putting away the groceries. The sound of random skits and funny stories about people who work in retail coming from the countertop. I clicked the little button on my scrolling ring, and the clip that followed was an ad. Not unusual, as every few videos is an easily bypassable advertisement, but this one made me pause. Standing in front of the open cabinet, holding some off-brand spaghetti sauce in one hand and a jar of peanut butter in the other, I carefully set them back down on the table and walked over to the countertop, eyebrows furrowed, to see if I'd heard the ad correctly. Tonight's episode of 911, the hit TV show, features an episode that may feel like deja vu. Don't make the same mistake as the unlucky woman on tonight's show, and check your locks before you go to bed tonight, including the window in the guest bedroom with the green and blue curtains. Green and blue curtains? Oddly specific for an ad. And described the polka dot curtains in my own home guest room. I laughed it off, mentally applauding the targeted advertising from the show's marketing team. They probably did some sort of deep dive into the most commonly searched guest room curtains, and what colors they are to make the ad feel more personal. Honestly impressive, I thought to myself, scrolling past to the next clip, and continuing to put away the jars I had left sitting on the table. After finishing up, and still feeling a little shaken up about the whole curtain thing, I sat down on the couch with my iPad to get some work done that I had already procrastinated with grocery shopping, and I now lacked any excuses towards putting it off. I work from home as a graphic designer, and my husband was away for the weekend, a few hours away for a mandatory sales training course for his job. I didn't mind the alone time, as I usually get more done without the added, unavoidable distractions that come with working from home. Navigating to Google, I searched the name of the client I was hired to create the design for, something I typically do before starting a project, so I can get a general feel for the overall vibe they project. Just before clicking on their company's website, my eyes drifted above it to the sponsored ad result. Reading over it 3 times, thinking I had misread it, a deep chill slithered down my spine as my eyes darted across the words again. Working for yourself can be hard, especially when your business relies on creating content for strangers without knowing how they'll use your creative talents, and solely trusting they are who they say they are. Knowing your client can be more vital than you realize. Run a free background check today on any potential or current clients, and receive the same information they have already obtained about you. The last sentence made me nauseous, and I felt my face begin to flush, and sweat begin to soak the palms of my hands. The information they've already obtained about you. The sentence continued repeating on my mind, as it sounded to me like the ad was telling me my current client had been researching me, and using the website featured in the ad to obtain my personal information. It sounds paranoid to think an ad is speaking directly to you, but I actually had already had a weird feeling about this client, hence the procrastination on touching this project, and this ad just fueled an already burning pit of anxiety in my stomach. The first red flag I should have noticed was when the client had emailed my personal email address to contact me about a design project they wanted to hire me for. I had shrugged it off, thinking that maybe they had seen me conferring on my personal with a friend on Facebook or Reddit or Instagram about a previous project I'd done, and found my email on the personal account profile. Strange, but not too unusual. The client's email had read, "Hello there. I came across your work recently, and I am very impressed by your design work. I would be honored to hire you for a new project I need done. Nothing difficult, really, and I've attached some references to get things started. I'm willing to pay generously, and look forward to seeing you come up with something wonderful. Name, company name." The references he had included were standard and straightforward. A fairly easy project by the look of the links. The last two links, however, both led to 404 errored websites that were different than the other links provided. Thinking back, I'm pretty sure these links were just a way in and not the deceptive error that had been displayed. But the other attachments were more than enough to use, so I had decided not to bother inquiring about those last two when I emailed back to confirm the job and accept the project. At the time, I just figured they were old links that had probably been sitting in some company computer's folder labeled references for God knows how long, and he'd probably attached all of them without checking that they all worked first. I saw no point in worrying about two broken links with the other 20 plus references working just fine. This was the second red flag I had just dismissed after getting distracted by the massive payout quoted for the project in his following email. It was triple the amount I usually got for my work, and would take significantly less time since I had all the needed information I would usually needed to spend a day or two putting together with my own research. It sounded too good to be true, but to my credit, I did at least have the sense to inquire as to why he was offering so much more than my usual price for designing similar projects I had done in the past. I'd sent over my portfolio, with final costs of each finished project included in my original response. Since I didn't know how exactly he'd found my contact information, with it being my personal address, and if he'd even been to my website for my actual portfolio, or if he'd just come across a project that my name was pinned to, and liked the work I'd done. He responded with, clearly now a response meant to use flattery to turn the red flags green, a short and sweet email about me deserving more for my effort, and skill like mine should be paid accordingly. Yeah, I know, I should have seen through it, but I'd recently had a client a few works prior who had loved my designs, only for her to decide she hated them when came time to pay, and refused to compensate me. When I informed her that I would not release the final product to her without payment, she went full Karen on me, and blasted some made-up BS about me, ripping people off, and I'm just a fake who baits and switches people. Like, no, Karen. You decided you didn't want to pay the original and agreed upon price and tried to bully me into giving you 10 days of work and hours of original content design for free. Not happening. So I was still licking my wounds from that mess, and this project more than made up for the wasted time I spent on that other project that I never saw a dime of. It also just felt good to be complimented on my work, and that little ego boost had propelled me right into the sand where I happily buried my head from the cloud of oddities surrounding this client, which brings me back to why this sponsored ad made me feel like I'd emerged from plunging into a frozen lake. But the money quickly washed over and poisoned the logical parts of my brain before the alarm bells could sound. Hovering again over the company website, I tapped the link, barely registering my own movements. The page started loading, clearly a free website that had been launched as more of a placeholder for mainly contact and policy information than an actual blog or useful website for facts about the company itself. I scanned the page, pretty much useless for the project, and was grateful I had all of these references as resources because there was nothing to squeeze from this besides a bio page with a picture of the client and the full spelling of his name. The page was full of those annoying little ads that plaster the page, the ones that are like a game of minefield avoiding clicking on when browsing the page. Home security sale. Protect yourself when you're home alone. Weird. There may be more than skeletons in your guest room closet. Call this number, Exterminator, to get rid of pests hiding in your home. Weirder. Our probiotics ensure your gut is clean and healthy. Always trust your gut. Okay, not too strange, I guess. Don't become a true crime podcast topic. Local women's self-defense classes teach you to pay attention to your surroundings, teach increased awareness, and prevent surprise attacks when you're at your most vulnerable. That was the last straw. This was getting way too freaky. I set my iPad on the couch with shaky hands. The silence in my home suddenly felt suffocating, and the pounding of my panicked heart echoed in my ears. I tiptoed my way towards the kitchen, silently relieved I was wearing socks and could move through without a single sound. I slowly opened the sliding door that opened up into the backyard and slipped through the slim crack, sliding it back into place, careful not to click it into place. I jogged to the side of the yard, leaning on a small tree in the yard, out of view of any of the home's windows. I stared at the blue and green curtains of the guest room window, and within minutes, I saw the shadow of a figure and without hesitation, pressed call on the screen that I already had 911 dialed on the moment I had gotten outside. The sirens followed afterwards, and not too long after, an officer slid open the door and walked over to me. I was still crouching over by the tree, too scared to move from the temporary safety zone. Officer: You must be the owner of the home. Me: Yes, I called 911. Was there anyone in there? My voice was shaking and the officer crouched down next to me. He placed a hand on my shoulder, then stood up, offering me a hand and pulling me up. A second officer had joined us outside, and the two of them led me inside. The front door was wide open, and as we walked through to the front yard, my eyes grew wider and my stomach did little flips as I stared at the man in handcuffs in the back of the police vehicle. I had just seen a picture of him on the company website, next to his full name and contact information. Officer: It seems he came in through your guest room window while you were out. He'd hid under the guest bed and was found with multiple weapons: rope, a handsaw, and a garbage bag. I'm not sure yet what his plans were exactly, but considering he stayed hiding under there until we found and dragged him out instead of attempting to run back out the window when we announced ourselves upon coming inside the house, He was clearly hoping he could just hide long enough to finish whatever it was he wanted to do. I stood there, mouth dry, shivering, quickly coming to the terrible revelation that, had it not been for some oddly specific targeted ads, I would have just worked on the project this creep had hired me to complete, and went to bed without a second thought. So please, if you ever see some ads that feel like they're speaking directly to you, listen to them.